let's solve the following equation for n. Now there's a couple ways that we can do this. We'll start with the more intuitive and possibly simpler way to solve it, and then afterwards I will show a slightly more complicated way to solve it. So let's write out our equation here. We have n plus 2 factorial divided by n factorial. I'm going to add a couple more terms to the n plus 2 factorial so that it becomes n plus 2 times n plus 1 times n factorial. And all of that is divided by n factorial. And it's equal to 56. Now, let's think about the factors of 56. What two numbers can we take and multiply by to get 56? Well, we could, for example, use the numbers 8 and 7. So 8 times 7. What we're trying to set up here is two consecutive numbers, so 8 and 7, or 5 and 4, or 13 and 12, numbers that are an integer apart so that they kind of look a little bit like a factorial. For example, we could continue on and do something like this. Okay, that's the setup we're trying to do here. So if we can find two numbers who multiply to 56 that are consecutive, this will help us. So we have 8 times 7, which gives us 56. All of this is equal to n plus 2 times n plus 1 times n factorial divided by n factorial. And we are trying to find out what is n. Well, let's do this. Let's multiply our right-hand side by 6 factorial. And we'll also divide by 6 factorial so that we haven't changed anything. Now, 8 times 7 still gives us 56, and 6 factorial now looks like this n factorial on the right-hand side. In other words, we have the same form on the left and the right-hand side. If we were to plug a 6 into here, we would get a 7, which is our 7, and we could plug a 6 into here, which would give us 8, giving us our 8. So by inspection and by trying to set up a factorial type equation here, we've found that n is equal to 6. Now, you're welcome to turn off the video at this point, but really quickly, a more complicated way to solve this. So writing out our equation, n plus 2 factorial, or n plus 2 times n plus 1 multiplied by n factorial divided by n factorial equals 56. We could cancel out our n factorials and distribute our brackets through. We would end up with n squared plus 3n minus 3, or minus 2, equals 56. And if we bring the 56 to the left-hand side, we would have n squared plus 3n minus 54. And that's equal to 0. We could factor this. We would want two numbers who multiply to give us negative 54, and which add to give us positive 3. In this case, those numbers are going to be positive 9 and negative 6, because positive 9 times 6, or times negative 6 is negative 54, and positive 9 minus 6 gives us positive 3. So n plus 9 multiplied by n minus 6 equals 0. This means that n can be equal to negative 9 or positive 6, but we can't have negative 9 options to choose from, so n is equal to 6.